ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. Come on, baby, higher.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for Mr. Adam Trigger at Adam Trigger WT. You can get all his work, of course, at Wager Talk. Headliner for today: is it time to give the Florida Gators their due? And I got a question to ask Adam at some point in this show, but we're going to do some Patriot League. We got basketball starting early this afternoon. It's that time of year. We got about 10 days till selection, 11 days till Selection Sunday, and then the fun really begins. So buckle up, come follow us, ask away, ask a million questions. That's what me and Adam are here for, to educate with a little entertainment, hopefully to put some money in your pockets. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download that app. It is free. Viva Tequila Seltzer, 6 flavors in all. Congratulations, CT Bets and family, to the baby boy. The East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. And last but never least, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Head on over to Facebook. Introduce yourself to Terry Smith. While you're there, head on back to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, chops, appetizers, wines, you name it, he's got it. He'll take good care of you. I know you've heard of Omaha. This is 10 times better and 1,000 times better customer service. So without further ado, Mr. Adam Trigger.
Hey, Jeff, missed you last week. Great to be back here. I think last week was the first week of the season. I missed a show. I was out in Florida. My grandmother turned 90, and we got the whole family together down there. I ended up getting to 3 different basketball games, so I was pretty happy that I was able to swing that. Got to see a couple different teams play, and now I'm back in Central New York, where I'll be heading over to the Patriot League quarterfinal game tonight between Colgate and Army. So looking forward to that.
You know, a million war stories. We got them. It's one of these years, if you get out of the gates, well, we did in December, and now it's win 3, lose 2, lose 2, win 3. A couple war stories for you. Sunday, we had the first half over on the Illini game. And the first 5 minutes, it was 5-2. Thanks for playing. And needless to say, the Illini put up 62 on their own in the second half, so that was kind of a kick in the jimmies. Last night, we had Florida, Alabama, first half over 85, lands on 81. They were 6 for 25 from 3. They missed 5 free throws. Well, my point is they put up 112 points in the second half. We did have Florida team total over, so we got the split there. My initial question to you, and the headliner today, is it time to give the Florida Gators their due? Looking at Ken Palm here, we know Auburn, we know Duke. Most people want to put Houston in there. But my point is it going to come down to who wins the SEC championship? If they give Florida a 2 seed come next Sunday, whoever has the 1 in that bracket is going to be scared shitless.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been giving Florida their due since very early in the season. I remember doing this show back in like November, December, when Florida was starting to creep up the rankings. They were still kind of in that, maybe 11 to 20 range in KenPom. And I said, like, this is the one team from that quadrant, or well, not quadrant, but that like sort of group of 10 teams that I felt was more like the top 10. And now you've kind of seen them play their way into, I would say, arguably the top 5 at this point. I think Florida, it's safe to say they're one of the best 5 teams in the country. Doesn't mean they're going to win the NCAA tournament. No. But again, like this doesn't surprise me. Probably would have been on them last night had Alabama not blown the game the way they did against Tennessee over the weekend. I felt like it was an okay spot for Bama, but still does not surprise me at all that Florida's 26-4. They have tremendous guards. They're very good defensively. They are one of those teams, Jeff, that is top 10 in both offense and defensive efficiency. We say that that's sort of like the formula to go far in this tournament, or some team that sort of exhibits those qualities is going to end up there at the end. Florida looks every bit the part. So no, not surprising in the least that they're where they are.
It wouldn't be a show without talking about my Huskies. I thought overnight it was 1.5, 2. It got corrected to 4 in the morning. I think it closed at 3.5 on some shops. Their record when Caribbean gets 15 or more is, I think they got 1 loss all year. A team that I'm rooting for, obviously, for the 3-peat. We've talked at length here about the Johnnies. Is this team come down to, when it comes tourney time, Adam, as far as, believe it or not, Caribbean takes them?
I mean, listen, like we've talked about this a couple times on this show. Every time you want to really like put the nail in the coffin for Dan Hurley and his staff, they come out and get a win like they had last night, knock off a very good Marquette team. And they've taken UConn has only taken criticism this year for the season they've had because they're coming off of back-to-back national championships. I think that's like a point that needs to be made. Like this is still a very good basketball team. They're 21-9. They're probably going to win against Seton Hall over the weekend, which would put them at worst 14-6 in conference. So, a share of third at absolute worst for them. And I mean, you would want to count them out, or you can't count them out the same way you can't count a lot of teams out. That being said, do I think they're a Final Four team this year? No. I think it works in their detriment a little bit that they've won the last 2 years, because they're going to have as big of a target as a team that's going to get the seed that they're going to get. They'll have as big of a target as ever on their back to knock out back-to-back defending champs. But listen, Dan Hurley and that staff, as good as any coaching staff in America, you give them time to prepare. I'll say this, they'll probably lose. If they're going to lose a game in the NCAA tournament, it'll be the second game of the week. You give Hurley and his staff 5 days to prepare for an opponent, they're probably going to do pretty well. You'll have to get them on either the round of 32 or in the Elite Eight, most likely, where you can get them on the quick turnaround. But that being said, again, not surprised they won last night, and they're kind of what I expected them to be this year, a really good team, just not elite like they've been the last 2 years.
Yeah, they were treading. A lot of people were speculating they could be in that 8-9 game at some point. And then, of course, if they win the big matchup on Saturday or Sunday versus a number 1, which I think they'll beat Seton Hall. They'll probably get a win in the Big East tournament. I hope they lose in the semis. I don't need them getting all the way to the finals. I think they need rest, regroup, get a couple extra days, and that will set them on their way, Adam.
Yeah, and we'll wrap up UConn and move on, but like offense is not holding them back. It's if they can really like tighten up the defensive side of the ball. I mean, it's funny, like I'd love to have a team that had St. John's defensive ability with UConn's offensive ability, because that's like, if you could get that defense to just ramp it up a little bit come March and come the NCAA tournament, they will be a very tough out. I wouldn't want to play them.
Well, as you said, you were away last week. God bless you. Happy birthday belated to your grandmother, 90 years young here. It's been 2 weeks. What have your eyes seen in the last 2 weeks in the overall picture of the NCAA?
I think Duke's the best team in the country, and I think you will find time. Like, there's going to be a spot somewhere along the next week to 10 days to the bracket coming out where Duke is going to be doubted because they come out of a very poor conference this year. The ACC has been dreadful. I had a nice winner last night with Notre Dame on a last-second shot, but that was an awful game. I mean, watching Syracuse, like the once you get outside the top 5 in the ACC, it is a very difficult watch. Those are some really just not very good basketball teams, and because of that, I think Duke is getting looked at as, okay, well, they've just beaten up on a bad schedule. Bad teams. They're 20-point favorites in a lot of these games. But I don't, all of the adjusted metrics point to them being like one of the most elite teams that we've seen in the last decade. I think from a KenPom rating standpoint, they have the highest rating since 2015 Kentucky right now, and one of the highest in the history of his website. That's, to me, like, I look at this team, I still think they'd be at the top of the SEC. They might not be 27-3. They might have a couple of additional losses, but I truly believe that they would still be right there with Auburn, Florida, Houston, Alabama, right at the top, competing to be the top team in that league. And because they're not in that league, I think there's going to be, especially when the bracket gets announced, it's probably not now, but let's say Duke doesn't really put a whole bunch of stock into the ACC tournament and gets knocked off by like a Clemson or like, an SMU, like someone like actually capable of winning a game, which there's only like 4 teams in the league that could probably beat them. And then you go into the NCAA tournament, there will be a time where their price to win the tournament is not what it should be. And I think you should take that as soon as that time identifies itself. I wouldn't do it right now at plus 350, but I'll tell you what, if the bracket comes out and they've got a reasonable road and you're still getting 3-1, which you probably will be, then that's a bet you have to make all day. They got to the Elite 8 last year. They lost a game that they probably win 19 times out of 20 to NC State. I thought they were going to win it last year. A lot of these guys remember that. Shire can make the adjustments. He's going to know, what did I do wrong last year? I thought the game plan for the NC State game was terrible in the Elite 8. You'd like to think he can adjust from that. And then, of course, you now have the best player in college basketball in Cooper Flagg. So I think they're the best team. I know Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, Houston, all excellent teams. Duke is still the best, in my opinion.
No, I definitely agree. And they got the best player in the country with Cooper Flagg there. So there's another part of the scenario there. I see a deep, deep run. I would be very, very surprised if they didn't get to at least the Final Four. It will be interesting to see what their bracket is. The assumption is obviously the number 1 seed, and the East. They'll stay
probably playing Raleigh that first weekend. They'll probably play in Raleigh that first weekend. A couple quasi home games there for Duke. So yeah.
Patriot League, 4 games tonight. I know you wanted to talk about at least 2, but we'll have time if you want to go through all 4. First one on the docket, Navy and BU.
Yeah, so I definitely can touch on all 4. I chose this because it's Patriot League quarterfinal Thursday, and why that's important is all of these teams play on campus sites. So you have 4 games all occurring at the home site of the higher seed. Now, that's the same every year. We all know that. But the reason I wanted to kind of bring it up and I was kind of focused on this year is the Patriot League had the home teams in the Patriot League in conference play had as high of a win rate against the spread as any conference in America this season. Now, some of that is whatever. Like I don't, some of that, next year could be different. They could regress. But one thing I'll tell you guys that I know, because I've been to a lot of these games, I'm going to another one tonight. The crowds during the Patriot League tournament are nothing like the crowds during the regular season. Colgate during the regular season gets 700-800 people for a game. They'll probably have 1,500 tonight, and usually if they host the final, they sell it out 1,850 at the gym. Almost all of these venues will have very, very strong crowds tonight, where they don't always get strong crowds during the regular season. So I don't give these teams like considerable bump for home court during the regular season, but the data is there. They're covering at a rate as high as any conference in the league at home. And now you're going to throw into the mix the biggest crowd they'll have all season, right? Like BU will get its biggest crowd of the year tonight. Colgate fans are still a little bit entitled. They're going to, but again, they're the 3 seed. So they might not host another one. So I expect a pretty good crowd in Hamilton. Bucknell will be probably a great crowd. They're the 1 seed. I think they're the best team in this league. American will probably be close to sold out. So I think you got to bump considerably for home court here. And so let's start with Boston U and Navy. I like BU. And my goal for this round was try to find a home team that's actually at a playable number. And Boston University on the money line at -125, which it was this morning when I put it out, I think to me was the most playable of any of these 4 games. I've also now, I felt sort of obligated to bet this game. I hit both of the regular season meetings. I had Navy in the first meeting, cashed that easily. Had Boston University in the second, cashed that easily. And I'll go back to the second. I guess I'll go back to like the spot in both. I played Navy in that first meeting because BU was really struggling offensively. They had a couple games during when that game occurred where like they only put 50 up against Colgate. They were really struggling to do anything offensively, and they fixed that. Boston University's offense is night and day to what it was the first time they played Navy. They're 4-1 in their last 5 games. They put up some nice offensive numbers, and one of those really nice offensive showings was the Navy game at BU, where they scored 87 points. It was one of their most impressive performances of the year. Now, the really interesting thing about that game, the adjustment they made, was instead of trying to play super slow, which is what BU likes to do, they said, you know what, Navy, that we're just going to play your game. You want to press and run up and down the floor the whole game? Let's do it. And they put up 87 points. Navy was clearly not ready for BU to try to, beat them at their own game. I don't think it makes sense for Navy to slow them down because BU's tempo this year is 330th nationally. They prefer slow, and they're probably more functional playing slow. So I kind of think BU has Navy in a tough spot because Navy now knows, okay, they handled our press no problem, dropped 87 points on us. If we slow it down, we're now on the road playing the game that they want to play. And as far as those home cover margins, Jeff, BU had the best cover margin against the spread of any home team in the Patriot League this year. So the Roof, they call it. It is a very old, it's Case Gym in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm sure you've heard of it. You know it. You've probably been there. I expect them to have a really good crowd on hand tonight. And I just don't think Navy, I think you're going to give me Boston University simply to have to win this game. I got to take a shot there. So I played BU on the money line in that quarterfinal game with Navy in Boston, Massachusetts tonight.
Second game, Army and Colgate overnight. Colgate -6.5 with a 148.5. Now 8 with a 147. Adam.
Yeah, so I'm going to start. I'm going to do something I don't always do, but I couldn't find a better way to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish here. And I like the way that the timing of these games are. So real quick, we had a viewer ask about Missouri Valley. And I didn't plan to talk about Missouri Valley on here, but I'll talk about the Illinois State game because I am going to parlay Illinois State, who plays an afternoon game in their conference tournament today, with Colgate money line. I did that a little bit earlier this morning and got -115 on that parlay. Now, the reason I want the action into Colgate money line is the status of Josh Scovins for Army is unknown. But that move from 6 to 8 suggests that he's probably not playing. And if he's not playing, I just don't see how Army can go on the road and win this game. They've looked terrible without him the last couple games. And the reason I don't think they beat Colgate without him is they're going to have to figure out a way to stop Josh Woodward, which I don't think they can do anyway. I don't know that Scovins is really the best matchup for him anyway. Without him, it becomes considerably more difficult to stop Colgate's big man, and then I think stop Colgate on their home floor. So what I've decided to do is take Illinois State on the money line. They're playing Missouri State at 3 p.m. On a neutral floor in St. Louis, and then play them into Colgate because I'll know the result of Illinois State before the Colgate game starts. And then if Scovins does play tonight, I will come back and just take that 8 with Army, right? Like if I can find out that he's in for sure, I'll probably just, try for the middle, assuming I hit Illinois State. The reason I like Illinois State, I don't love the fact that I would have to lay 6 here or 5.5 in this neutral site opening round game. But Jeff, I do think that they are the team out of the teams that have to play in the first round that look most like the other ones that got a bye. So the way that the Missouri Valley sort of works out this year, the top 4 kind of separated themselves from the pack. You have Drake, Bradley, Northern Iowa, and Belmont all finished with very strong records. 17-3 for Drake, so all the way down to Belmont 13-7. Then not a single other team had a winning record in Missouri Valley Conference play. Okay, Illinois State was 10-10, Illinois Chicago 10-10. Everyone else finished with a losing conference record. But if you've watched these teams play, Illinois State looks the most like the top 4, like to me, than anyone else in the field. And so the way I look at it, I think they're a real sleeper in this tournament. I think Illinois State is a very dangerous team. Offensively, they're very, very good. Top 25 3-point shooting team nationally. They hit from the field at a top 30%. I would not want to play Illinois State in this tournament if I'm one of the big boys, if I'm one of the top, the 1 through 4 teams. And so here, you got to avoid the sleepy afternoon spot against the worst team in the league. Missouri State went 2-18 in league play. I'm going to trust them to do that because I think they're that much better than the other teams on that are similar to them. I think it's Murray State and Illinois Chicago. To me, there's a difference between those two teams and Illinois State. I look at Illinois State more like the top 4 teams in this league. And for that reason, I'm just asking them to win to get me to Colgate, just needing Colgate to win. Because if Scovins is out like I think he is, I think you'll see a double-digit blowout win in Hamilton tonight. And I'll be there to make sure that happens, of course. But I just think Colgate at home, great crowd. They're a little bit undervalued probably right now because they didn't win the league this year like they had the last couple of years. So I really like it's, again, totally not my style. But Illinois State to Colgate, getting -110, -115 on that parlay is a very good bet in my opinion.
The last 2 games, Lafayette American overnight, a 4 with the 129.5. Under over went to 129 at Circa, 129.5 everywhere else. There is a 130 at Bet Online and Bookmaker as we speak, and the line is still stuck at 4.
Yeah, I'll do the last 2 together because my opinion's kind of the same. I really feel like Bucknell and American are far and away better than the rest of this league this year. That being said, they're both inconsistent. I don't know that I'm going to slot both of those teams in to necessarily be playing each other in the final, but I'd be shocked. So again, knowing what we know, that those 2 teams will have home court throughout, I'd be absolutely shocked if one of those teams is not in the final on Championship Wednesday next week, hosting that final. I think it's more than likely going to be Bucknell. But again, American probably has the best home court advantage from a game-to-game basis in this league. Bender Arena in Washington, D.C., typically a very strong home court. I bet they have a near sellout tonight. That number felt a little bit low. I would probably lay whatever it is, the 3.5. And then Bucknell, I think the number's probably close to what I would make it. But again, if you want something to parlay, if you want to take a couple shots into money line favorites, Bucknell is another team that, like, I'd just be really, really surprised if they lost tonight. I feel like they're probably the team that's going to win this league. I don't necessarily want to take them even money to win the conference tournament, but I have a hard time seeing them losing to just about any of these teams on their home floor. Noah Williamson, big-time 7-footer. He's going to be really tough for Illich from Loyola to do much of anything against. So a big advantage to Bucknell there. I think you're going to see all 4 home teams win in this league tonight, and you're going to have 1 playing 4, 3 playing 2 on Sunday, which should be 2 very solid semifinal games.
The Bucknell overnight was 6.5. It's gone to 9. Is there potentially out to Loyola Maryland?
So, yeah, I'll tell you who it probably is. Loyola. I played Loyola the other night, and I think it might be Speed, their guard. Someone took a real tumble toward the end of that game. And I wonder if that's the injury. But I think, Jeff, you're probably right. It's the name is escaping me. I think it was either Commander or Speed that went down toward the end of that game. That would be a notable loss. But I think at 6.5, I think that line was always a little bit light. So you're probably got a combination of maybe someone being a little bit banged up and just some steam toward Bucknell, who I know a lot of sharp people probably expect them to win this tournament. So that makes sense to me. I would not touch that at 9. But again, I do think Bucknell is just totally outclasses Loyola and get them on their home floor. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a lopsided final.
Well, the scroll has been going the whole time. Everyone knows on Twitter to find you at Adam Trigger WT. But as we always wrap up this segment, Adam, tell them what you have at Wager Talk.
Yeah, so I'll give you 2 of my plays for today. Boston University minus 130, I think is what I posted at. That's a client play. And then I did give out that parlay, Illinois State to Colgate. That's a client play. I have a 4% play up for tonight in a not in the Patriot League that's on my page. And Jeff, I got to be honest, it feels good. This is the first time I come here and I'm not complaining because I'm getting the breaks this week. I got a corner 3 at the buzzer last night with Notre Dame. I got a foul late to win St. Francis. So I'm fine. Some of that late game variance that I've been complaining about is coming back in my favor. I think I'm 6-1 since Monday. So hopefully we keep it rolling tonight. And like I said, all of my stuff you can find at Wager Talk.
Adam, enjoy the games. Have fun tonight. Be looking at your timeline, watching the pictures and videos. Cash some tickets, and we'll catch up with you soon.
All right, Jeff. We'll see you guys next week.
Take care. Adam Trigger, go follow him at Adam Trigger WT. Go check out all his work on the Wager Talk. We'll go to a couple quick commercial breaks. When we come back, hopefully Tyler will be here. Stay tuned.
Jared, hey, we're going to need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern.
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
That's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Welcome to Good Food. At Atlanta Steaks and Seafood, you'll find the highest quality meats from a variety of delicious cuts, tomahawks, salmon fillets, ribeyes, and plenty more to choose from. With an easy-to-use, mobile-friendly website, selecting your pick of meat is made quick and easy. And don't forget, worrying about your dinner is a thing of the past. Check out some of the amazing subscription packages that Atlanta Steaks and Seafood has to offer. From fresh steak and seafood straight to your door. Order online at atlantasteaksandseafood.com.
I gotta just wait a couple seconds as Tyler Wyatt at Tyler Wyatt Bets at Odds Culture wraps up a quick 10-minute spot on in Knoxville on the radio that he has every Thursday here, and then comes and jumps on with us usually on Wednesdays, but we got him here following Adam at 11:40, so we got about 2 minutes here. 3 p.m. today, Lou Finicaro at Gamlu at Veasan will be here for UFC 313 as Alex Pereira takes on a real tough customer. I think Alex right now is minus around 125. Fight Night Fortunes, Gamlu. Lou Finicaro comes here every Thursday to break down 4 fights. We'll talk about the card, big boy card, live at T-Mobile in Las Vegas. So if you happen to be in the Vegas area and want to catch some UFC, head on over to T-Mobile on Saturday as some great fights. And we'll break those down here at 3 o'clock. So NCAA tonight, some of the big boys, the Big Ten, Michigan State at Iowa, opened at Michigan State minus 6.5, now 7 with a 153. The Spartans, you know, the calendar goes January, February, Izzo for March. This is a Spartan team that's been playing great ball. I'm pulling them up right now for everyone right here. Ken Palm has them winning 80-73, has them winning by 7. 24-5 currently for Mr. Izzo and the Spartans. Winners of 5 in a row, 6 of their last 7. Their last loss came at home to Indiana. Since then, beat Illinois by 14, Purdue by 9, Michigan by 13, Maryland by 3, who had a great win last night at Michigan. Keep an eye on the Terps. And then they beat Wisconsin at home on Sunday, 71-62. So a team that's definitely cooking with Crisco, a team that you want to, you know, when we get the brackets on Sunday, now relax here, we'll see where they're seated. But Tom Izzo has done great work with them there. Trying to see if there's any more headliner games there. Florida Atlantic at UAB. UAB opened at 5, still 5 with a 164. This is not your Florida Atlantic team of the last couple of years. Ken Palm has UAB 86-82. Florida Atlantic 16-13 this year, really struggling. Losers of 3 of their last 4. They lost at Wichita State 75-68. They lost at Memphis 84-65. And then Thursday, big game last Thursday, a week ago, at home they lost by 10, 71-61 to UNI. That is North Texas. On Sunday, they beat South Florida 69-65. They have East Carolina on deck on Sunday, a game that they should win. So a big game here for Florida Atlantic. They can get to 17-13 with a win. Wrap up on Sunday to maybe 18-13 before they go into conference play. UAB 19-10. Their last loss came on Sunday to Memphis 88-81. Prior to that, had won 4 in a row, 7 of 8, and 13 of their last 16 wins against South Florida, Rice, Temple, Wichita State. They did lose to East Carolina. And then prior to that, 5 in a row, Tulsa, Tulane, Florida Atlantic, South Florida, and UTSA. So they've been cooking with Crisco. A short number of 5. Ken Palm has them winning by 4, but they do have it going over. They got it at 86-82. And right now we had a 165 overnight, now down to a 164 at the Circa. Good morning to Mr. Benson and Mr. Stevens. 163 at South Point. Good morning to Mr. Vaccaro and Mr. Chris Andrews there. 163.5 at DraftKings and Caesars there. See if we can find one more for everyone here. Might wet the palate here. 1 p.m. Indiana State and Southern Illinois, the first round of the Missouri Valley Conference that Adam had brought up. Let me see if I can find Ken Palm at Southern Illinois, 80-79. So this was an overnight number that opened up at 157, now down to a 154 and a pick'em at circa. Indiana State now favored by 1 at the Westgate Superbook. Good morning, Mr. Murray. And at DraftKings, the total 154. So a big discrepancy here. We got a 159 total here on Ken Palm. So if you like that there, you got a little value on the over. And again, now the hard part here is midweek, 1 o'clock tip off. What have these kids have been doing last night? Usually not midweek ready at 1 o'clock. Yes, I understand Saturdays and Sundays they play at 1 o'clock or earlier, sometimes at noon. But again, here, looking at this here, the people, the books think it will be an under. That line has been adjusted by 3 points here. 154, 154 and a half. We got a total here of 159 according to Ken Palm. So something that you definitely want to keep your eyes and ears open there. Let's see. What else here we can talk about here? We'll give them a couple more minutes here. On the pucks tonight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, let me scroll down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 games in all. I'll talk about my Bruins who have waved the white flag. Basically, traded a small trade to Colorado. Was it Colorado? Yes. Earlier in the week. No, Edmonton. I'm sorry. Edmonton. Excuse me there. Apologies. Boston at Carolina. Overnight, Carolina opened up at 245 with a 5.5. Now 310 with a 5.5. So not looking good for the locals and the Bruins. All right. Let's see if we can bring them in. Mr. Tyler Wyatt. You all right, T?
What's going on, JD?
I was just covering a little airtime till we brought you up. How you doing? How's your knee going?
Elevated with ice on it. Didn't make for a great video. I was trying to get comfortable and figure out a way to get the webcam and not have my foot and leg propped up in the video. But I'm not acrobatic enough to make that happen. So it'll be audio only. But yeah, in the office, got the leg propped up, wrapped with ice. On some, not on any good pain medicine, just on the old 800 milligram ibuprofen. But we're trying to persevere. Got an MRI scheduled for tomorrow morning, so we'll know a little more next week. But we do know that after you hit 40, the rec league basketball, you got to quit. You just got guys. It doesn't matter what you did in your 20s or teens or at any point in your life. You're not that anymore. So I'll stick to golf. I'll stick to poker. And I'll just have to be content watching basketball and not playing anymore.
I said to you yesterday in our conversation, it's a young man's game. Let's keep it at that, huh, Tyler?
That's right.
My headliner here, is it time to give the Florida Gators their due? I saw Kelly Stewart, our good friend and colleague, talking on her podcast with John Murray at the Westgate. Here we go. She's got the 40-1 ticket, on the Gators, and they're steamrolling. We've talked at length. I'm holding a St. John's at 47-1, 9 or 10-1, depending where you shop for the Final Four. She's now in this with the Gators. I am telling you this, Tyler. I know Duke right now, quote unquote, is the best team in the country. Most people think that. The same with Auburn. You can sprinkle Houston in there. This team reminds me, and we talked earlier, November, December, when this team started cooking with Crisco. This has got a Billy Donovan feeling to me. This team is long. They can play offense and defense in the top 10 in both offense and defense in Ken Palm. thoughts on the Gators? And if they don't get a number 1 seed, whoever gets a number 1 seed in the tournament next Sunday and sees the Gators as a number 2 is probably going to be like, oh shit, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, if they play like they did last night against Alabama both teams, Alabama, one of the better rebounding teams in all of college basketball, Florida also in that same category, but they dominated Alabama on both sides of the glass. Offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, had a clear edge. I think they ended the game with 50 boards on 48% shooting. So it's not like it's not like they missed a ton of shots. They just happened to get pretty much every loose ball that they did miss. When they play like that, they only had 10 turnovers in the game. If they don't turn the ball over, that offense is so good they can score 90 against anyone. Doesn't matter with the defense. Tennessee, we saw that game when the Vols traveled to Gainesville. It was just a Florida offense that has been clicking for the last couple of months. Defensively, that would be the only area of question. And when it comes to, making a tournament run, can they do enough defensively? Their offense is so good, they don't have to be all that sharp defensively. They can afford to let a team that doesn't score in the 80s kind of go up and down. They are a team, I think, right now that deserves to be in that 1 line. I had them in the middle of the 2 seed a week ago, and after last night, the last couple of performances for Florida, they've done enough to convince me that they're one of the 4 best teams in college basketball. You mentioned St. John's. That's another team that's been in the conversation of being on the 1 line. I think after last night, though, you have to flip-flop Alabama. I wasn't sold on Alabama being on the 1 line after some of their performances. This is an Alabama team now. They're going to go to Auburn as probably an 8 or 9 point dog, maybe. This is a team that last 7 games, that's got a losing record, Alabama. So not something, at least 1 seed, in my opinion. I think Florida last night overtook the Tide on the 1 line. They're absolutely a team you do not want to see, regardless of your seed. You don't want to see them in March. SEC tournament upcoming. You could maybe make a case if you're Florida. Do you want to make a deep run to Sunday, or would you rather just kind of rest and go into next Thursday or Friday with a little fresher legs? John Calipari for years talked about why do we play the SEC tournament? It really doesn't mean anything. And there were a lot of I don't want to say the gray hairs. There were a lot of the guys that love tradition that were upset with those comments. But that conversation now, there's a lot of other coaches and a lot of other conferences who are also making the same case. Hey, we play a ton of regular season games. Now we have a tournament, and then we go, into another tournament. I think every season someone will go back and put, teams that make it to Sunday, how that correlates to success in March Madness into the big dance. Florida capable of winning the SEC, but they would trade a Friday exit in the SEC tournament for an Elite 8 or for a Final 4 with zero hesitation. But yeah, this is a Florida team right now playing as good a basketball as anyone in the country. Dominant performance against A&M at home before a tough win last night in Alabama. Tough loss there to Georgia. You go back a little over a week and a half, where they trailed by 26. Furious rally to take a 1-point lead there, and then lost that one. But this is a team doesn't have a lot of blemishes. Lost at Starkville back in the 1st of February. They beat Auburn at Auburn to start the month off. Lost to Tennessee and Knoxville. Their losses are very similar to St. John's in the resume. Their losses are all, putting giant quotations, quad 1 losses. But their wins are as impressive as just about anyone in college basketball. Florida, not a team you want to see. And I wish I had a 40-1, a 30-1, a anything to 1 ticket right now, because those odds are, I don't want to say they're at rock bottom just yet, but you should have been a buyer on the Gators a couple weeks ago. Still not probably a terrible idea to include them in your portfolio, as they're very easily one of the 6 or 7 teams that I look at right now that that will be there on Final Four weekend?
The Ken Palm's got Auburn 93-83 on Saturday against Alabama, and you brought up Florida winning at Alabama, winning at Auburn. Not easy things to do. I think when the dust settles, I mean, obviously, if Florida wins the SEC tournament, they would get the 1 seed. But I think you're right. Like I've talked about at length here. A couple years ago when Hurley and the gang lost in the semis in the Big East. That was the best thing that could have happened to them. A couple extra days, then they went on their run, and I'm hoping that they do the same thing here. But Auburn 93-83. Surprised that a 10-point victory there. I mean, a little revenge spot here for Bama too, right?
Oh yeah, it was a huge revenge spot. It's if you're Alabama, there's a lot of questions you have to answer, and going to Auburn is not the greatest place to start answering them. Then the SEC, if you're Nate Oates, if you're probably just trying to take a break here and get fresh. The SEC tournament, not a place that you want to work through some problems either. So I mean, it's not a great end of the season there for Bama. Auburn, will want to take out a little bit of frustration with that loss to A&M in the midweek. Auburn is obviously there's a rivalry there on the football field, but that also is a carryover that those schools hate each other regardless of the sport. So Auburn is going to want to win by 30 here on Saturday. It's Alabama, a lot of questions that they have to answer here in 2 days, and then in the SEC tournament. But offensively, they're fine. They'll win. They should win most of the. They're going to be big favorites in the first round, the second round, because they're going to be. I think in all likelihood they're safe to. If they lose to Auburn and go 1 and done in the SEC tournament, do you put Alabama as a 3 seed? Maybe it's an interesting question. I still think they're probably deserving of a 2. I don't think they go 1 and done in the SEC tournament. I do think they will get a win. But yeah, I mean, they're in a precarious position just in the way that they've ended the regular season. Their offense has been fine. It's just defensively, they're not there. Florida, that game was played in the 90s last night, and a lot of that was dictated just by how both teams wanted to play offensively. But Florida, when they needed a stop, it seemed like they were able to get a stop. They were able to force, I don't know what they ended up. I have to pull up the box score, but it seemed like every possession was a tipped ball, a block, a contested shot when Alabama tried to get inside, at least in the half court. It's an Alabama team that's been able to run and get points in transition, but when they needed to play a half court set of defense, Florida was able to get in there and kind of get a stop. If you saw, if you didn't watch the game and just looked at the score, you'd say, oh, there's, just no defense. Florida has enough big bodies and enough athletic guards where they're going to be able to play defensively against a team that wants to slow it down. My only question with Alabama is if they find themselves in a matchup with a team that wants to play it in the 60s and they have to play defense, is that going to work? And we've seen, we saw in the Auburn game, that was kind of when Auburn was able to kind of control the game through tempo was where Alabama struggled because they were forced into half-court defensive sets. Matchups are obviously, when you see the bracket and you see potential matchups, obviously you can make a little more, I don't want to say clairvoyant decision, but you have at least some information there. We'll have to wait and see, how the SEC tournament bracket lays out, whether it's, I don't want to say good or bad to lose. I think losing is never great, but this is an Alabama team that needs to rest and kind of just maybe go back to the drawing board and figure out what got them to number 1 in the country or at or near number 1 here in the regular season. They have a lot of questions they have to answer here in a pretty short amount of time.
Assuming that they lose to Auburn on Saturday, that would be 5 losses out of their last 7. Now, the 5 losses at home to Auburn, at Missouri, at Tennessee, at home to Florida, then at Auburn, 2 wins in between. both home against Kentucky and Mississippi State. So again, that tournament, as you said, kind of you lose 5 out of the last 7 before your tournament, and if they stumble early, I think that the gentlemen that are figuring out the seeds and stuff will take a look at that, and it will be very, very interesting there. Duke, Cooper Flag, I just winning by 30. It doesn't matter who they play at this point. I don't want to say they're peaking too early. The ACC is down this year. Joe Lunardi came out Sunday. 4 teams from the Big East, 3 from the ACC, 13 from the SEC. But this is what caught my eye, Tyler. He has 11 from the Big Ten currently. What am I missing? Am I not watching enough Big Ten here? I don't see 11 teams.
No. I mean, I guess we got to get to 64 plus. What's the number now with the play, with the 11s and the 16 play-ins? But yeah, I mean, Michigan State that's a team that a couple of weeks ago I did get a future on Michigan State, but that was because of Tom Izzo. I always don't mind having Tom Izzo to advance to Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four in any tournament, just because he's going to have a coaching advantage in every matchup. Michigan has been on a free fall, but they're a safe tournament team. Maryland playing really good basketball right now. That's a scary team. They can do a lot of long athletic team that can score. That's a team you don't want to face. Wisconsin, very solid team, absolutely. Purdue. But then, that's 5. We still need 6 more teams, right? I mean, UCLA has been much, from the first half of the season, the second half, they may have made as big an adjustment as anyone in basketball. Don't want to see them if I'm, on the other side in the bracket. But outside of those 6, I don't trust Illinois anymore. I trusted Oregon at the beginning of the season, and I continued to back them financially and lost several games in a row before I was forced to kind of go in and readjust a lot of the things that I had with them in our model. Indiana, they've had some really good wins. Obviously, the game against Purdue, they came out in the second half and just dominated a really good Purdue team. But I don't, do I trust them to make, a deep run or make any type of run in the big dance? Are they deserving? At 18-12, I don't, there are a lot of teams that are going to be in that same category. So, I could see where Indiana, you can make a case. Ohio State, we're getting down to teams that are Northwestern, Minnesota, USC, Nebraska. I see 7 really good teams, I think, in the Big Ten. And then I see about 5 or 6 other teams that are all just kind of, they're right, that last group of 8 or 12 teams in. I don't think they're an 11 bid conference. I would not have, Nebraska have been kind of campaigning for Nebraska to get in. I don't have them in. I don't have Northwestern. I don't, there's outside of, once you get past UCLA, I don't really see Illinois and Oregon probably have done enough to get in. In Oregon, I think 22-8 is safely in the tournament, but I don't have a lot of confidence that they're going to win. Maybe
we lost you. You were fading in and out at the stretch there. Could take a quick commercial break. When we come back, hopefully he's back. Stay tuned.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot.
looks like we could have lost him. All is well. All is well. Listen, shout out to Adam Trigger at Adam Trigger WT, Tyler Wyatt at Tyler Wyatt Bets at Odds Culture. 3 o'clock. Gam Lou, Fight Night Fortunes, UFC 313. Thank everyone that was watching. Big crowd here on the Twitter. If you haven't subscribed, head on over to East Coast Sports Investors on YouTube. Subscribe, it's free. Come on back to X. Follow us at EC Sports Invest. We'll follow you back, I promise. 3 o'clock. Gam Lou, UFC 13. Stay tuned.